news out of college basketball. Freshman phenom Cooper Flagg had himself a record-breaking day in #4 Duke's win over Notre Dame. He set a new Duke Freshman Single-Game scoring record, 42 points on 11 of 14 shooting. That's 79%. That's efficient. It's also a new ACC Freshman Single-Game Record. It's the first 40-point game by a Duke player since J.J. Redick did it back in 2006. And look at this. The Blue Devils needed all of those points as they eked out a win over the Irish, 86-78. Let's welcome on Avery Johnson to discuss this record-breaking day for a young Cooper Flagg. Just turned 18 back on December 21st. But, Coach, he's been a projected #1 pick since he was in high school in Maine. Expectations have really always been there. So how is he performing relative to those already lofty expectations?
Yeah, I think he's exceeded those expectations. The kid's the #1 pick in the draft. If he doesn't play another game this year in college basketball, which would be very disappointing, the kid's still a #1 pick. He's been amazing. He's got the size, hand-eye coordination, athleticism. Did you see him catch the pass from his teammate at the free throw line and went and proceeded to dunk the basketball without even taking a dribble? Do you see how he plays through contact? He plays at all 3 levels. He plays above the rim. He's mid-range. He can knock down the 3. He defends. He's willing to take charges. He's a really good help side defender. So my expectations for this kid is, and my thoughts, he's exceeded my expectations. 42 points today in an ACC game. And here's the breaking news. If you're Utah Jazz, Washington Wizards, New Orleans Pelicans, Brooklyn Nets, any of the bottom feeder teams, I know there's a lottery and a ping pong system involved for you to be able to potentially get the #1 pick. I would make sure I'm in that position because this kid is better than anybody that's on your team, which is not saying a lot, but he's the kid that can do the same thing that Tim Duncan did for my Spurs back in 1997. When you add a Tim Duncan or a Cooper Flagg to your team, that means a championship opportunity within the first 3 years of his existence in the NBA.
Now that is some high praise for a guy who still has half a college basketball season left to play. We need one of those catchy sayings like "fail for Flagg" or something where we've got these teams fighting over him. Earlier this morning, Gary Parrish actually told me that he thinks that Flagg should potentially be in the discussion for the Wooden Award. What do you think as far as not just freshmen, but college basketball players at large?
Oh, absolutely. You look at Janai Broome with Auburn, along with guys like Cooper Flagg, both are one of, 3 players in college basketball that leads their teams in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. And, oh, by the way, I've heard, I can't confirm it, but I've heard Cooper Flagg is a 4.0 student. So, hey, that would be the 5th category. This kid's just unbelievable. High basketball IQ. He should be in the Wooden Awards conversation. Let's rule out freshmen. He's one of the top 2 or 3 players in all of college basketball, and he's proven it night in and night out.
You see some of that 3-point shooting. He was 4 of 6 from behind the arc, so it's not just those crazy dunks that we're seeing him in the paint. That is a well-rounded individual. Duke has had, I'd say, some pretty decent freshmen suit up for them over the years. So I'm curious, in your eyes, where Flagg stacks up against some of the greats like a Zion Williamson, an aforementioned J.J. Redick, maybe a Christian Laettner if we want to go back. Where do you put him there among the all-time great freshmen?
Yeah, he's at the top of that list. I mean, you got a lot of guys that have Grant Hills, they're all tremendous players who I have a lot of respect for. This kid's just on another level. Let's just face it. And I know a lot of older players that have played in the NBA, played college, we're a little biased towards our era. The same way somebody recently said that Jason Tatum is soft. Soft what? Soft with his son? He's not soft on the court. So the same thing with Cooper Flagg. He's right up there at the top. When I look at a guy like Cooper Flagg, I'm thinking about some of the really outstanding young guys at the same age, even whether they went to college or not. Magic Johnson, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, at the same age and the type of skill set that he has, he's in that category, let alone just at the top of the Duke freshman.
All right, it helps when you have good players. He's not the only one on this Duke team. So how good are these Blue Devils as a whole?
Well, I think, at the end of the day, I believe this Duke team, they'll be on that 1 or 2 line in the NCAA tournament. We'll talk to our guy Jerry Palms about it, but I think this team is going to be one of the top teams in all of college basketball. I think hopefully they'll end up in a really good bracket, but barring any unforeseen injuries, their top 7 players, you don't need 9 or 10. You need a really good 7. And I like the way John Shire is coaching his team. Look at them, how they move the ball. They move the ball for good, better, and great, for a great shot. So good to great. I've read that book. That's how they play the game of basketball. I love watching this team play.
Yeah, if we compare them to the sport at large, you have to look into the SEC. The presumptive #1 team, once those AP voters start voting again, will probably be Auburn, which Duke has already managed to beat this season. So is it national championship aspirations? Are those reasonable for this team?
Absolutely. Yeah, but Duke is one of, I believe, 12 or 14 teams that can win the championship. Auburn is in that conversation. Last I looked before I came on to CBS Sports HQ, they were down at the half against South Carolina. So we'll see what happens with that game. And Janai Broome was really struggling, and South Carolina went on a 16-2 run there at the towards the end of the second half. So we'll see what happens. We see Tennessee lost to Florida. Auburn has a chance to really, continue to move forward. But when you're the first or second ranked team, third, 14 in the country, you have to be on your game at all times. And fortunately for the Duke Blue Devils, not only were they on top of their game, Cooper Flagg, I know he's from Maine, and I like macaroni and cheese, but when you add that lobster to macaroni and cheese, it takes it to another level, and that's what Maine is known for.
I'm trying to keep up with you there. Yeah, Maine is far away. That's about the extent of what I know about Maine, but apparently producing a really good basketball player in Cooper Flagg. A historic day. Avery Johnson, thank you so much for breaking that down for us. I'm sure the guys over on the Eye on College Basketball podcast will also be talking about a young Flagg's performance today, in addition to everything else happening in the sport of college football. Basketball. Speaking of basketball, hey, top 25 scoreboard happening. We got a lot of teams in action today. Duke, the only top 5 team playing at home, so we could see some upsets, and we already have in the Big Ten, USC. Look at that. Beating a ranked Illinois team at home, 82-72. We are just getting started here on this college basketball Saturday. So much more action left to come, and we'll continue to update you throughout the day right here on HQ.